Thierry Henry not convinced about Arsenal's chances of qualifying for Europe this season. Thierry Henry has cast doubt on Arsenal's chances of qualifying for Europe this season and has not been impressed with his old club's recent performances. The Gunners have recovered from a woeful start to the season in which they lost 3 games in a row, though they dropped points against Brighton before the international break and needed a stoppage-time goal to salvage a point against Crystal Palace on Monday. Mikel Arteta's side currently sit in 12th place in the Premier League table, though they are just 4 points off the Champions League spots. Despite more encouraging recent performances, especially the North London Derby victory over Spurs, which Henry attended, the Arsenal legend is not convinced by the side's European chances. During a quick-fire round of questions on CBS Sports, Henry was asked if Arsenal will qualify for Europe, including the Europa Conference League, this season and replied bluntly, "Not with what I saw recently." Although Henry does not believe seeing Arsenal finish in the top 7, fellow pundits Jamie Carragher and Micah Richards both felt the Gunners would return to European competition next season. This campaign marks the first year in over 2 decades that Arsenal have not competed in Europe, having only finished 8th last season. Henry is known to be concerned by the direction the club are going in and has been consulting with Spotify founder and billionaire Daniel Ek about a potential takeover. Speaking about how hard it has been to watch European football without participating in it, Arteta said last month, "It hurts a lot. In the past few days it was hurting to put the television on and see those teams in there and not see Arsenal there, it was painful. But with poor performance in 2 matches recently against Brighton and Crystal Palace, the way to come back to European football is huge challenge for Mikel Arteta." Ian Wright, so happy with Aaron Ramsdale but reveals Arsenal problem under Mikel Arteta after Crystal Palace draw. Ian Wright insists he is so happy with new Arsenal goalkeeper Aaron Ramsdale but says his former club are still struggling to force themselves on opponents under Mikel Arteta. The save he made from Conor Gallagher in the first half of Arsenal's draw with Crystal Palace. "I'm not joking, Wright. You actually see him take a peek over the bodies before getting across to it," Wright said on the Ringer FC podcast. "I've got to say, I am so happy with him. He's made some saves where it's clear he's getting better. Some of his passing too. We're talking about a 24-year-old who's already had 2 seasons in the Premier League. Yes, he went down but the experience he's had can only make him better. He's in the first team at 24 and been with England. We probably don't get him if he didn't go down, so it's a blessing. He's the number 1 for me, without any doubt." Alexander Lacazette scored an injury-time equaliser as Arsenal extended their unbeaten run with a 2-2 draw against London rivals Crystal Palace on Monday night. But Ian Wright insists that Arsenal are so lucky to keep a point from Crystal Palace and revealed that Mikel Arteta had wrong tactics after Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang gave Arsenal an early lead at the Emirates. "Crystal Palace were brilliant, even without Wilfried Zaha," Wright added. "They should have won that game. They were more organised and invigorated. They knew they had us on the run. The way we started the game, I thought, here we go. But we just can't force ourselves on the opposition. We stopped closing down and we backed off. Palace could have been in front at half-time. Arsenal were very fortunate in that game. They backed off. It almost felt for me that they were hoping Palace would misplace a pass rather than harrying and rushing players into mistakes. Why are we sitting back and letting them come onto you?" Newcastle to rival Arsenal for signing of Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Newcastle's recruitment team have earmarked Everton striker Dominic Calvert-Lewin as one of their primary transfer targets. The ailing North East club are currently mired in a relegation dogfight, but their mega-rich new owners are prepared to spend whatever it takes in the long term to turn the success-starved Magpies into contenders for the Premier League title. Calvert-Lewin has endured a frustrating start to the new season and been restricted to just 3 appearances as a consequence of a thigh strain which has prevented him from building on the performances that helped him secure a place in Gareth Southgate's Euro 2020 England squad. Newcastle have scored just 10 goals in their 8 league fixtures so far this season and will look to bolster their striking ranks as a priority in January and beyond to provide support for current number 9 Callum Wilson. Calvert-Lewin, meanwhile, has regularly been linked with Manchester United in the past, but their need for a new centre-forward is not as pressing as it once was given the return of Cristiano Ronaldo and continuing emergence of Mason Greenwood. The former Sheffield United striker has recently emerged as a target of Arsenal's whose 2 most senior forwards, Alexander Lacazette and Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, are already in their 30s. Lacazette has entered the final year of his contract and looks almost certain to leave on a free next summer, with talks over a new deal having stalled. Arsenal are said to view Calvert-Lewin as the ideal long-term replacement for the former Lyon captain, who scored a last-gasp equaliser against Crystal Palace on Monday evening. Arsenal handed Major Bukayo Saka boost ahead of Aston Villa clash. Arsenal star Bukayo Saka has reportedly been given the green light to return to training and will be available to take on Aston Villa on Friday. The 20-year-old was forced off at half-time in Arsenal's 2-2 draw with Crystal Palace on Monday night after being chopped down from behind by James McArthur while clearing the ball. Mikel Arteta was furious with the challenge, but the Palace midfielder escaped with only a booking, and Saka was replaced by summer signing Albert Sambi Lokonga for the second half as Alexander Lacazette rescued a late point for the Gunners. The Arsenal head coach revealed Saka's right leg was very sore following the London derby, and there had been uncertainty over whether the England international would be fit to face Villa. However, according to The Sun, Arsenal's medical team have given Saka the go-ahead to join his teammates in training once again, and the youngster is expected to feature at the Emirates. Saka's return means Granit Xhaka is the only first-team player unavailable to Arteta, with Arsenal riding a 6-match unbeaten streak in all competitions. A recent update on the Gunners' website revealed Xhaka was aiming to return to full training at the start of 2022. Granit is making good progress in the initial stages of his recovery from a medial knee ligament injury. The current aim is for Granit to be back in full training early in the new year. Daniel Ek told The Only Way Stan Kroenke will sell Arsenal amid continued takeover talk. Nigel Winterburn believes the only way the Kroenke family will even consider selling Arsenal is if a ridiculous offer comes their way. Daniel Ek expressed an interest in buying the Gunners, who he has supported throughout his life, and even lodged a £2 billion bid to the Kroenkes in May, but the offer was rejected. Ek released a statement shortly after, which revealed he is still keen to one day own the North London club. The Spotify CEO said earlier in the year, "Inaccurate reports emerged today saying I have not made a bid for Arsenal Football Club. I think it is important to correct the record." This week, an offer was made to both Josh Kroenke and their bankers that included fan ownership, representation at the board and a golden share for their supporters. They replied that they do not need the money. "I respect their decision but remain interested and available should that situation ever change." Winterburn, when talking about the possibility of the club being taken over like we have seen with Premier League rivals Newcastle United recently, has told Ek the only way Stan Kroenke would likely sell up. Speaking to Free Supertips, the former Arsenal man said, "Well, potentially there's financial fair play and there's been a ban put on about sponsoring your own team basically, as I understand. In all honesty, I don't see our owners selling up unless they get some ridiculous offer, and it makes sense to sell. I don't see them moving on, and they aren't going to sell at market value, it would be in excess of that value. We know that there are names interested, and companies interested, but are they willing to pay more than the market value, which would be considerably more? I don't think the Kroenkes will be selling anytime soon." Arsenal legend Jens Lehmann believes Borussia Dortmund striker Erling Haaland could make the move to the Emirates in 2022. The 21-year-old looks set to depart Signal Iduna Park next year, with the player boasting a £64 million release clause on his contract. Spanish giants Real Madrid and Barcelona have been linked with a move for the Norway international, with his agent Mino Raiola and dad Alf Ing visiting the clubs earlier this year. Meanwhile, Paris Saint-Germain are said to be eyeing up a swoop for the ex-Red Bull Salzburg ace. And Manchester City could look to bring Haaland to the Etihad as Sergio Aguero's replacement, having failed to sign Harry Kane in the summer. But Lehmann, who starred between the sticks for Arsenal and Borussia Dortmund, has stated that Haaland could link up with either the Gunners or Manchester United. The 51-year-old thinks the former Mold marksman may decide to join one of the two teams to help bring them back to the summit of English football. Arsenal haven't won the Premier League since the Invincibles' 2003-04 season, where Lehmann featured in all 38 games, while the Red Devils last won the top flight in 2013. Speaking of Haaland, Lehmann told Bild, "He already has an imposing stature, the force and height. Of course, he has to improve his right foot, but I have never seen such a big player be so fast. He's still at Dortmund. There aren't that many clubs where he can go and where he can make a difference." Maybe he could go to Manchester United or Arsenal, where he could bring a club back to the top.
If you like the video, like, share.